Basketball, like all sports, is predicated on the execution of the fundamentals. The coach is the teacher. His subject, fundamentals. Whether we were a fan of the Portland Trail Blazers when they won the NBA title in 1977, or are not a sports fan at all, we can surely identify with the wisdom of Coach Dr. Jack Ramsey. We who profess to be believers can surely relate to that quote. The Christian life, too, is predicated under understanding the fundamental reality that we are made to be in relationship with God and with one another. We were not built to be alone, and we never are. For we belong to God and to one another. Everything else flows from this. Today, Jesus comes to us as our wise teacher to call us back to this most basic principle of our Christian identity. In today's gospel, Jesus reminds the adults in the room, just as he reminds us today, to step back from our preoccupations and revisit this fundamental reality of our faith. Faced with frustration over the Pharisees trying to test, trap, and twist his words, Jesus seems refreshed to be in the company of children. Irritated that his disciples have also veered from the heart of his message and God's reign, he calls them to become like children if they wish to enter the kingdom. In reply to the Pharisaic investigation on divorce, Jesus tells them that they are looking in the wrong place and altogether missing the point, sending them to revisit the basics of the creation story. Humanity was made for healthy and holy relationships with God and with each other. Historically, there has been a tendency to extrapolate man's superiority over women in misreading of the text we have from Genesis. There is, however, a far more fundamental and radical story of God and humanity here, uncompromising in its opposition to unjust, unhealthy, and sexist relationships. In the telling of creation, we hear that all humanity was fashioned to be in relationship, and by divine design, no person was made to be an island in isolation from the community. Through God's eyes, humanity was only complete in partnership, with interdependence, and without domination or subordination. The second reading today relates that we are called into a sacred kinship, a holy relationship with God. A return to this fundamental reality of relatedness has a vast implications for our Christian life. Humanity's primary interconnectedness is a source of great hope. No matter how far one feels from God or others, the bond is always there, always stronger than the distance. The relationship cannot be completely broken. We are never alone. We always belong, regardless of the circumstances we find ourselves in on any given day. The bonds of kinship demand that we know and love both God as Father and one another as brother and sister. This call to kinship is at the heart of the good news and of the Christian life. Sexism is not only a sin against women, but tears at the fabric of the most fundamental reality, namely, we are made to be in a holy and healthy relationships with both God and with others. So, our Christian way of life is a time to practice the fundamentals of healthy and holy relationships. Pope Francis gave 3 words as the starting point for simple practices of strengthening kinship relationships. Please, thanks, and sorry. Please. Let us practice making our needs known to one another and to God, practicing vulnerability and interdependence. Thanks. In our relationships, may we practice giving thanks, becoming verbose in words of gratitude and generous with our appreciation. Sorry. Let us practice reconciliation with one another and with God, acknowledging first our own brokenness and trusting in the mercy of the Father at work in our lives. The reality of our relatedness reminds us strengthening, maintaining, and repairing relationships is a holy and spiritual task. My friends, Jesus has prepared a banquet for us where he gives himself to us completely. We give him thanks and praise for this foretaste of the kingdom. For it is here, more than at any other time or place, we fully realize God's presence and embrace the truth. We are never alone, that we do belong. Amen.